I'm careful when I say confess. I didn't confess. They actually made it up and forced me to sign. And I didn't know how far the police were willing to go in order to get a confession or get me to sign this paper.
Sometimes the courts get it wrong. But even if all the facts point to a wrongful conviction, getting formally exonerated can be a long and difficult process. We spoke to 3 men, each at various points on their road to getting justice.
When I woke up, there were 2 detectives in my room telling me to get dressed and that, they wanted me down at the precinct.
Sonny Moses was just 19 years old when he was arrested for the killing of a 4-year-old girl in Brownsville. The detectives never told Sonny he was under arrest, but after being interrogated for hours, it became clear they thought he was the man responsible.
The questions were sort of repetitive because there's not much information I can give you if I'm telling you I'm not there. And after me answering those questions hour after hour, either I was going to get frustrated or they would. That's when, it became physical and the screaming and the chair throwing, and that's when that became present inside the interrogation room.
That's also when Sonny first came into contact with a detective named Louis Scarcella.
Louis Scarcella was the only detective that actually struck me and put his hands around my neck and was choking me. His words were, "You piece of shit, you're gonna tell me what happened, what you did, you killed that little girl."
Louis Scarcella is now retired, but he's connected to 72 of the cases that are being reviewed by the Brooklyn DA.
This is yet another case linked to a retired detective,
Louis Scarcella, who was under intense scrutiny for possibly coercing confessions,
threatened a woman in order to get her to testify against him.
Scarcella cracked numerous murder cases in the 80s and 90s, but his techniques have been questioned.
Witness coercion, false confessions, those are just some of the allegations that are repeatedly brought up when talking about the detective. Sonny was convicted of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 16 and a half years to life in prison.
Did I think I was gonna come home? I didn't know. I honestly couldn't answer that. But I did know that it was a real possibility I may not never come home.
In 2013, Sonny was let out on parole after serving 18 and a half years. His lawyers believe that his release was based on the review of cases Detective Scarcella was involved with. For the past 2 years, Sonny has been seeking a formal exoneration. But so far, the city has delayed their decision, keeping him waiting for an answer.
My trial was short. I had one single witness. There was no other evidence linking me to this crime. There was no DNA, no forensic, or nothing.
Kevin Smith was 25 years old when he was arrested for the murder of Gary Hall in Brooklyn. At the trial, only one witness connected him to the shooting. The single witness who testified says that he was coerced by Detective Scarcella into naming Kevin.
I thought the system at that time didn't send you to jail for something you didn't do.
Ultimately, Kevin was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for second-degree murder. While behind bars, he struggled to come to terms with the outcome.
And I was numb. I was asleep. I tried to get out. Yes, I used to help, do legal work to try to get out, put motions in, try to get out. I always try to work on my wrongful conviction, try to get out. I always did that, but numb meaning I wasn't involved in nothing to make me a better person.
Kevin wasn't eligible for parole until 25 years into his sentence. When he went before the parole board in 2012, he made the choice to confess his guilt. He believes that it was the only way to secure a release in time to see his ailing mother. Kevin came home in December of 2012. She died just over a year later.
My mother was sick for a long time, but she waited till I came home. She said she didn't want to leave until I came home. I regret that. That's one thing I regret when you ask about the time. Because I probably could have been here with my mom. I don't know. That's why I went before the parole board and fabricated the story. because I had to get out.
Since his release in 2012, Kevin and his attorneys have been trying to attain a formal exoneration. But the legal process is slow and full of bureaucratic hurdles. One set of documents they sent in was sent back for containing too much information.
I think that Detective Scarcella deserved to know what it feels like to be sitting in a prison cell, period.
Derek Hamilton is one of the few Scarcella victims who has been exonerated so far. When he was arrested in 1991, he was 25 years old. In 1992, he was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. The single eyewitness who testified against Derek says that she was pressured by Detective Scarcella to name Derek as the killer.
I mean, you did crimes after crime after crime. If you was in New Jersey, Connecticut, you'd probably be in jail by now, you know? And I think that's what he deserves. He deserves to go to jail. He deserves to see what he did to so many other people, what it feels like to be isolated from your family, you know?
On the inside, Derek says that he spent most of his days in the prison law library, working on his case. With his legal knowledge, he was able to convince the parole board to examine new evidence, a rare move.
I said any parole hearing that doesn't allow me to present the evidence of innocence would be arbitrary and would put me in the position of a guilty man. And I refuse to be a part of anything that, you know, has the stigma of me being guilty.
It worked. In 2011, Derek was released on parole and was formally exonerated in January of 2015.
I felt liberated. You know, I felt that I had a mission. You know, that there was other individuals that I knew was innocent. I knew Detective Scarcella had did this too. And I was determined to find a way to bring it to light. I was afraid. You know, I was going for 20-some years. I didn't know what to expect. Once I was released, I became advocating. I became the thorn in the system's side and attempted to change it.
Derek's fight for exoneration took 4 years. So Kevin and Sunday's ongoing struggles to get their names cleared aren't unusual. In the meantime, each of them is working to rebuild relationships with their loved ones. Since being released on parole more than 2 years ago, Sunday has been living with his mother in public housing in Brooklyn.
For a person that has done an extensive amount of time in prison, it takes a certain amount of time to assimilate yourself fully back into society. And that doesn't happen in 6 months or 12 months or 24 months.
Being on parole means having to stick to a curfew, undergo drug tests, and follow travel restrictions, all putting limits on Sunday's freedom.
Being on parole after this situation is sort of like walking on eggshells, because I can go back to prison without breaking the law. Meaning that it's not law that I be inside the house at 9 o'clock. I'm not breaking the law if I come upstairs 9:30, but it is a parole restriction.
Being an ex-con, Sunday has struggled to find work. But his time behind bars makes him uniquely qualified for his current position as an advisor with the Department of Probation.
Kenny, this is Mr. Sonny Moses, parent coach, Tyson Jackson's partner.
Sunday counsels juvenile offenders and their families in Brooklyn, helping them navigate the justice system.
I was wrongfully convicted, and so for me to just come home and forget that and just go on with my life doesn't feel right to me. That's not, 18 years. It's not something that you wake up and forget. That experience is going to stay with me for the rest of my life. And so it put me in a position to always speak out about it. How'd that like yesterday? Oh, it was
Kevin has been out for over 3 years. He lives with his girlfriend and is trying to restore his relationship with his children. They were raised without his presence for 27 years. His daughter Elise was 6 years old when he went to prison, and she grew up visiting her dad behind bars. But now, Kevin gets to be grandfather to her 2 kids.
My 2 children were the exact same ages that my brother and I were when my father went in. So it's kind of like my dad came home to 2 children. And the funny part about it is, like, if my children were here with me now, we walked in the door, he would run to them and they run to him, and you wouldn't even think I was there.
I want to go back to something my granddaughter told me when I first came home. She said she could call me now. That's very profound to me, and I don't take that lightly. I don't take it for granted. And to just speak to my children in general, you know, on a daily basis, any time of the day, which is something I could do, you know, that's heartfelt. So I'm just grateful. I'm thankful that, you know, I'm here today to just help out any way I can.
In 2011, Derek was released on parole. Since his exoneration in 2015, he lives in New Jersey with his wife and daughter.
This is my daughter, Maya Hamilton. My daughter, say hi. She was born 3 years ago. She is our heart and joy. She's my baby right here.
Derek's wife, Nicole, stood by him through his decades in prison. But now that he's home, she still worries about the lingering effects.
Although he's a grown man, I kind of look at him like, okay, this is my baby, this is my boy. I have to shield him and I have to protect him, but he's a grown man. So I can't smother him, and I know he has to go out in the world and find his way and do the things that he likes to do, which is litigate and the law work. But I'm still afraid sometimes, you know. I wonder sometimes how the prison world has really affected him. You know, I see certain things to me that I know that prison did to him, but I can't undo it. I can just only hope and pray that God would give him the strength or just take those things away from him.
Derek feels a responsibility to help others who may have also been wrongfully convicted. He works as a paralegal, and he contributes to the Innocence Project.
I mean, if I could just save one person from being wrongfully convicted, then I feel I did a lot. I mean, my activism today is solely because of my experiences yesterday. So I don't want to go back. What I'm looking to do is change the system that level the playing field for individuals that are innocent.
But the sheer number of people reaching out to Derek has taken a toll.
I'm depleted. I mean, I honestly find that there's so many cases in which there's evidence of wrongful conviction or actually innocent person that, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be depressed about somebody else's nightmare, you know, and that's what happens. I mean, I take these cases too personal. And there's too much negative energy at times that comes with it, you know, and I just don't want to continue to bring that in my home.
Wrongful convictions don't happen by mistake.
A community of activists has developed from the released and the families of those still on the inside. But they want more than just to look back at decades of aggressive policing and prosecution. They're calling on Mayor Bill de Blasio to institute reforms to prevent wrongful convictions in the future.
Justice for me can only come in one form. And that's to ensure that no one has to ever go through the horrors that I and the people here have been through.
When you lock somebody up for a crime they did not commit, the real perpetrator gets to roam the street only to commit more crime. That's a public safety issue, and the public needs to know that.
My name is Derek Hamilton. I spent 21 years in prison on a wrongful conviction. Detective Louis Scarcella was the sole person responsible for sending me to prison.
But nothing can make up for the years they lost. For now, Derek, Kevin, and Sunday all focus on reestablishing their own lives and letting the scars heal.
There's no winner, even when I get exonerated. There's no winner. I still suffered. I can't get the time back. I can't rewind. I can't make my son 9 months old again. You know, I can't take the operations that my mom had and the strokes and the things that she had. I can't take none of that stuff back. And so, no one is a winner in this situation.